under heat warnings. A joint fly past is scheduled for early this evening in Ottawa to mark the 250th U.S. Day of Independence. The Defense Department says the fly past is meant to demonstrate the way
30 seconds.
Routinely work together in the air as part of NORAD, the Binational Continental Defense Command. Canada has been ousted from the FIFA World Cup in a 3-0 loss to Morocco. And a Ukrainian drone attack has struck a Russian oil terminal in St. Petersburg today. That is Russia's second largest city. From the Canadian Press, I'm Lisa Laporte.
This is an AM 1150 special presentation. Touchdown Kelowna with the BC Lions.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Apple Bowl in Kelowna. My name is Grant Scott, joined by David Hansen. We are live for Touchdown Kelowna, day number 2. Actually, it's about day number 8, to be fair. It's been a fabulous week of celebration here in the city, but this is football day as the Edmonton Eskimos get set to visit the BC Lions. And we're going to get things going right away because we have a very busy guest to start things off, David. That is the voice of the Edmonton Elks. That would be Morley Scott. Morley, thanks for joining us here. I know you're going to be doing the broadcast quick, so we appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be here. It's great weather. It's a great atmosphere. I feel like I really missed a party this week because I understand it was a lot of fun to be around Kelowna and around all the CFL fans here this week.
Oh, yeah. We've gotten pretty good at turning any cool event like this into an entire festival. So has it been nice to get away from the rain in Edmonton? I know you've had quite a bit of that.
Yeah, it's talking to some of the players, this will be they're looking forward to playing. This will be the best weather they've had for a game this year so far. It was okay in Winnipeg last week, but this will be the first time they're playing some heat and no chance of rain, which is great. They played 2 really bad rain games so far to start the year, so they're looking forward to it.
Yeah, not many clouds in the sky right now, thankfully.
Obviously, your team's off to a great start this year at 3-0. It's been a turnaround for the Elks. You've had a couple of tough years, and I don't know. Yeah. I didn't want to, completely go there, but I just kind of your general thoughts on what's made it different this year. I know it's still too early to read too much into the season, but you guys obviously have to be pleased with what you're seeing.
100%. They're happy with where they are, but they feel they can get better. I think the biggest thing that's helped them is stability. I came in last year, they get the new president, the new GM, the new head coach, and going into this past off season was the first time in like 5 years where we knew there wasn't going to be a change, where we went wondering if the coach is going to get fired or the GM or the president. Those guys are here for the long haul, and they're turning the program around, and they're making it they're making it much more enjoyable for everybody. And I think that's the key. They've laid the groundwork over the last year or so, and they've gotten off to a great start this year because their defense is playing well and their offense is playing well enough, getting the points when they need them late in games. So it's been a great start.
Yeah, from what I've seen, looking at Cody Fajardo, he seems to have settled things down at that quarterback position for you.
Yeah, for sure. Cody is what Cody is, right? He's not going to throw a lot of 400 games. He's going to, be between 250 and 300 most games, very accurate, and he's going to move the football. They had, for example, last week in the Winnipeg game, they had 2 drives of 100 yards. So one they ended up getting a field goal, one a touchdown on. So he's able to move the offense, and I think that's the big thing. The offense is going to get better. They've kind of struggled in the red zone a little bit. They've had some 2-and-outs and everything, but they're getting much better as the season moves along. I thought last week was probably the best week for the offense as a group. So we'll see what they can do today.
Yeah, looking back at that Winnipeg game, I know they got out to the early 17-0 lead and then kind of stalled for a while, but as you mentioned, they came through with that game-winning drive right near the end of the game, and then your defense did what it had to do in that final minute.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they got the stop, then they got a 57-yard touchdown drive that where they got the touchdown just under a minute to go, and then the defense did the rest in the final minute of play. And that's the thing. They got a touchdown drive when they needed it last week. The week before that, they got a touchdown in overtime to win the game. So they've been, and then the opening week against Ottawa, they had a big lead. They led start to finish in that game, but Ottawa really pressed in the fourth quarter, and the defense was able to hold them off and get the win. So, yeah, they've done a lot of things right so far.
Now, Kelowna is obviously very excited to have the Elks here, the BC Lions, but I imagine that for the Elks, the most important thing is just staying focused and not losing some of this really good momentum they have.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, and I know the Lions have obviously been here, played already a game here and have been here all week, and I know that the Elks' focus is, they're not going to Kelowna. They're just going to play another game. They just want to get a W and get out of town and keep it. They're trying to keep it as as smooth as possible and just doing the things. You know, it's all about repetition in football, right? They've just been doing the things all week long that prepare them. They know it's a showcase game for the league, but they also know that they got to play well and win it, and they're letting the Lions worry about all the hoopla that goes on around the game, right?
Yeah, you mentioned you guys just came in yesterday, so it's really a short stay. Is that sort of the normal routine for Edmonton?
Pretty much. They usually, most teams usually get in, the afternoon, the day before, and then fly out right after the game. So we're all be sleeping in our own beds tonight back in Edmonton. So and missing great weather probably.
A nice short flight, right?
Yeah, it is. It's about a little over an hour. I think about an hour and 15 minutes or so. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So what do you think moving forward for the team? Anything special they're going to do today? I mean, I know they're trying to just stay within a routine, but on the other hand, there is just so much around that's different from normal CFL games.
They have to. They got to make sure they stop Nathan Rourke, who's just been a killer against the Elks. He's 6-0.
Right.
Yeah, he's thrown for 5 300-yard games against the Elks, and that's just in the air with his feet. He's ran for touchdowns. He's thrown for 15 touchdowns. Since he came into the league, he's just been a killer against Edmonton. So and BC's won 12 of the last 13 games these teams have played, including all 3 last year by pretty lopsided scores. So that's the one thing they want to correct. And honestly, I mean, Elks win today, you go to 4-0, BC goes to 0-4, you almost don't have to worry about them for the rest of the season, right? As long as you keep playing well. So it's a pretty big game for Edmonton that way, and Saskatchewan won last night, so they need to win to stay in first place, and BC obviously doesn't want to let anyone get away from them in the standings, so they got to get a W sooner or later.
Yeah, it will. You're right. It will come at some point. I had to laugh a little bit. I saw the trivia that I think it was 2018 was the last time the Elks played the Lions with a better record.
Yeah.
Until today.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, that's for sure. So, the Elks are a much different team this year. I think they're kind of on the upscale now, and it's the arrow up for them as they move towards what they hope is a much better season this year. They haven't made the playoffs since 2019, so it's that's the focus right now.
I'd like to get your thoughts on some of the proposed rule changes. I know it's been a big certainly a big talking point on social media, and I'm sure elsewhere in the league. But as an insider in terms of the broadcaster, what do you think of the changes that are coming in the next couple of years?
Well, I'm a wait and see guy. If I mean, you look at the games that have been played this year, there's nothing wrong with the CFL game. There's nothing wrong with the game at all. But for different reasons, they have to make some changes, for expansion, for whatever reasons. I don't buy some of the things they've said, why they're moving ahead with some of these rules, but they're going to do it. So let's just make the best of it and move on. I don't think we're going to see the impact offensively that the commissioner said we're going to see, but it's going to look different. That's for sure. It's going to be very weird not seeing the 55-yard line. It's going to be very weird seeing the goalposts at the back of the end zone. And I'm a wait and see guy. I don't think we need to make these kind of radical changes, but I'm not in charge, and they don't ask my opinion. So
yeah, funny how that works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is certainly going to be some interesting times, to say the least, as you do that. And I think the one that really will change the game a lot. I mean, many of them do, but moving the goalpost back, I think, is going to be a big deal. It's certainly going to change how teams approach the kicking game. Those late field goals, the long 55, 60-yarders going to disappear.
Yeah, you're adding 22 yards onto every field goal now, right? Instead of 7. So it's going to be different. It's going to change, and the no singles changes the punting game as well. The punters are going to have to change. You're going to be more directional than bombing them now, right? So I think Jake Julian of the Elks has the CFL record set up a couple of years ago for best punting average. If he gets through this year, that record will stand forever. Because of the changes that they're making. So and we could get this year our last 100 and something yard drive or touchdown, right? Or a field goal return that is 100 plus yards. So a lot of things are going to be wiped out of the game because of these rule changes.
Sure. All right. We really appreciate you coming down here. We understand you have to get to the broadcast booth pretty quick.
It's all good.
And Grant, you want to give him a quick little warning here?
I have some advice for you up there. Watch your head.
Oh, I've already banged my head like 5 times up there. I'm so thankful for the padding they put up there. It's funny. I got an email from Mark Steven, the Calgary Stampeders play-by-play guy, and he told me to watch my head and be careful in there.
Yeah, nobody goes in that press box without banging their head.
The padding's good, but I'm still going to have a bruise, I think, at the top of my head.
We should put a marker there. It's like, oh, and another one bites the dust.
Yeah. So I think, it's been 5 or 6 times already. I'm sure it'll happen again.
All right. Listen, Marley Scott, really appreciate your time. Enjoy your stay here in Kelowna.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just only been here since yesterday afternoon, but I mean, the atmosphere is great. Watched the game on TV last weekend, and the atmosphere in the stadium looked great. So I'm looking forward to being a part of it today. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, and we'd gladly have you back too.
Excellent.
All right, there you go. Listen to BC Lions pregame action here on AM 1150. Jay Christensen is standing by, former head coach, president of the Okanagan Sun, longtime BC Lion, Edmonton Eskimo, and on it goes. So looking forward to talking football with Jay in a moment when we return. This is live coverage of Touchdown Kelowna here on AM 1150.
Kelowna's morning home for news, talk, and sports is the Early Edition with Gary Barnes.
This is Michelle Bowden. Coming up on our next Early Edition. Why do so many Americans still reject evolution? A new survey might tell us. Also, StubHub sold ghost tickets for World Cup months before the real ones were issued. And volunteers are battling a surge in illegal campfires right across the Okanagan.
The Early Edition, weekday mornings 6 to 9 on AM 1150.
Before you hire a roofing company, ask one question. Do they actually show up when they say they will? At Blue Jay Roofing, that's where it starts. Made up of hardworking people from Venezuela, they take pride in doing the job properly. They show up on time, work hard, and respect your home and your schedule. If your roof needs repair or it's time for a replacement, Google Blue Jay Roofing Inc. to arrange your free estimate with the crew that believes the work should speak for itself.
Probably pretty busy lately.
with David Hansen, live coverage of Touchdown Kelowna here on AM 1150 on a beautiful day. It's going to be a perfect day for football, as is often the case when you come to the Apple Bowl. And also very happy to have another guest with us, a longtime member of the Okanagan Sun, longtime CFL career, Jay Christensen joining us. Jay, thanks for giving us.
There's lots of stuff going on here that the Lions are doing for their fans and, and for the locals. And it's a really party atmosphere. So to have a great day like this, last week was cooler, but was okay. But it's a beautiful day at the Apple Bowl.
Perfect day for football. And of course, you've got a long history with the CFL, and maybe we start with that. I had to get brought up to date on your resume. I know at the time with the BC Lions, of course, with the Calgary Stampeders, the Edmonton Eskimos, Ottawa Rough Riders, or were they they would still have been the Rough Riders back then, not the Red Blacks as they are today. But just kind of, maybe that's a good place to start. What are your general thoughts on where the CFL is these days? I know, we asked Morley Scott about some of the rule changes coming up, so there is some change on the horizon, but the league seems to be strong in some areas, weaker in others. What do you think we're looking at as this season unfolds?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the rule changes. I don't know that I'm 100% on board for that yet. I'm a bit of a traditionalist, especially now that I've converted from player to to fan. The thing for me, I think back to when I played, it was a different time in the CFL. The players, especially the American players, would come up and we'd all stay there in the off season and play basketball against the high school teams and be in the community. And that really drove that fan support. And you don't see that as much anymore. Guys will come in, just like other professional sports, they play their season and then they go back wherever home is. And I think that's something that the league has lost a little bit in connecting with the community. I know they're full on trying to engage younger fans and get them out to the game. And like I said, I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to the rules. But if this is what it takes to get them out there, then I'm all for it. But even I've had a lot of discussions on things like a missed field goal counting for a point. Well, I remember, another local football player here, Spencer McLennan, running one back 112 yards, something like that, against us when I was with Edmonton. And it was hard not to cheer for him on the Edmonton sideline because, you can't know Spenny and not love Spenny.
Yeah.
But you're not going to see that. Now in today's game, he just take a knee.
Yeah. It does seem like there is a lot of subtraction with these rules. The idea of moving the goalpost back. I mean, now you're not, teams have to be a lot closer to get the points. And I do think that's, that is one of the more exciting plays, just to run back on the missed field goals.
Yeah. Well, even,
taking away the 55-yard line,
Yeah, exactly. I was fortunate enough to play a couple years with Jim Sandusky, who we used to call him MacGyver because he'd always be fixing stuff. And, if we were playing in icy conditions, somehow you'd end up with little screws in your cleats and things like that he would do. But he would get a kick out of when we were down on short yardage on the goal line, we'd take all the receivers out except for he would stay in there, and he'd actually get defenders to run into the goalpost. And, because he'd be going back and forth, and then he'd, accelerate to the line of scrimmage and then back up, and then they hit the goalpost. And he'd love doing that. So those are the little things.
Kick.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the little things that you'll miss, but like I said, we'll see.
Yeah.
Now, we're in, Kelowna, obviously, and it's one of those in-between markets where we see many Elks fans walking in. We see many BC Lions fans walking in. I'm sure we saw many Stampeders jerseys last week. What do you think that it means for CFL to be able to do this special little game in an area that's kind of smack dab between several big markets?
Well, I think it was, brilliant of the BC Lions, having gotten kicked out of their stadium to come here because, I've talked to lots of Calgary people last week and guys that I know and Edmonton people that I know that are coming to the game. And they're not just coming here for a weekend to catch a game and turn around going home, right? They're staying the week in Kelowna. They're enjoying the lake. They're doing all the things that, Kelowna wants, which is, again, why the city of Kelowna was so heavily involved in bringing this here. But yeah, it's, Kelowna is also a destination that people that retire from Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton, but also, I mean, there was way too many Saskatchewan jerseys last week. I'm sure that's going to happen again, right? And it's just it's good for the local people, especially the ones, because I would hope that most of the people in Kelowna are BC Lion fans, but there are Stampeder fans and Elk fans and Rough Rider fans that now they get to come to a game in their hometown, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
What do you think of the differences from your era versus today as well? I mean, rules aside, obviously it was a different type of football back then. I mean, even just in terms of player safety and things like that, the equipment has progressed. You mentioned just the change in attitude among the players that come to visit in the communities and whatnot. What's your general feeling overall? I guess really I'm looking for what were the good stories? What was it like playing back with, in the 80s, 90s, zeros when you were?
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, it definitely is a different game now. The science of it is a lot more relevant. I was on the sideline zone, I guess, last week, so I got to see the players pretty close up, and they're all way bigger and stronger than when I played. Like the nutrition and the training programs, and the fact that a lot of them are now able to do it, 12 months a year and just do football, whereas we all worked back in the day. So definitely the size and the speed is bigger and faster than it used to be. But even the technology, I even a couple of years ago came back and helped out with the Sun for a year, and still keep close enough with Travis and the current coaches, and the technology they use in breaking down film and filming with drones and put it into a machine and it splices it all up for it. Like, we didn't have that, right? Like, watching game film was watching the team you're about to play and making a bunch of notes, handwritten notes, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I get right. I mean, you think of today's game where you see a player comes out after they've done something and they got the iPad right in front of them and they're breaking down what happened, what went right and wrong, and it really does. I mean, obviously it's a benefit, I think, from a coaching and strategizing perspective, but it does seem kind of bizarre in a way, right? To be able to just have, I mean, the technology is just changing how it plays and how it looks. How does that affect game planning and strategizing? I mean, it gives you more information, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you have to be more adaptable as a coach, for sure, and as a player, right? Like, as a coach and a player, you had to kind of learn those things as you go. And I know that when I coached, one of my best sources of information was players coming off the field. I would grab them as they came off and, like, what's the defensive back doing to you? What front are they playing with the offensive line? And getting that information and being able to adapt to it. Whereas now you see it in video, and you're really doing the same thing, but you got to make those adjustments. And generally with teams, nowadays, well, even back then, teams so close together, those are the teams that win, are the ones that are able to make those in-game adjustments. Right.
I'm looking at the crowds we're seeing here and whatnot, and thinking, obviously you're wearing your Okanagan Sun shirt and hat and have a long history with the club. And we've seen so much success with that football team over the years. It just speaks to, I think, how big a football market this is in Kelowna. What do you think it will be the benefit for the Sun? Do you see any, immediate spin-offs in the upcoming season and moving forward with just the Touchdown Kelowna Festival?
Yeah, I think so. Ultimately, it's been so long since I played. Most people that I, interact with now remember me as the Okanagan Sun coach.
Right.
So, I also need to be a little bit agnostic because I played for both teams. So I don't want to show up in my Lions hat and have all the Edmonton guys ticked with me. But, as far as I think the locals here, it's just the excitement around football, the excitement around the game, coming and seeing what the Apple Bowl could be like. And obviously 19,000 people is a different atmosphere when there's 3,000 in one of our games. But when there's 3,000 at an Okanagan Sun game in the Apple Bowl, the energy is incredible. Like, the players feel it, the fans feel it. It's a great vibe. The league talks about, in general, about the fans in Kelowna, and just
for them, the fact that the pros are now coming to their backyard to play.
Yeah, I think so. We've always been fortunate and have been able to develop players for the CFL, and that attracts players that, for whatever reason aren't going to university or what have you, that have aspirations to go, will come here because they know that puts them on a track. But I think to be able to come out and watch, Kalon Thomas with the Stampeders last week, and definitely Jacob Bond, because again, he's here in the off season, he's training these guys, and then they come out and actually can see him on the field and compete. Because I think one of the biggest challenges, I know it was one of the biggest things that I went through when I made the jump from the Okanagan Sun to then the Calgary Stampeders, is not really believing that I can make that jump, right? It's like, holy cow, I'm walking into a locker room and there's guys from Texas A&M and, Stanford and SMU, and I'm like,
these big U.S. programs.
Yeah,
right?
and they're like, where'd you play? Well, the Okanagan Sun. Well, who? What? Right? And there's no difference, right? Like, these guys can compete, and to be able to have practice with Jacob for 4 years, and then now see him compete on the field and be as good as and as physical as the guys that are out there, I think gives them a lot of motivation.
Well, I think it's worth a tip of the hat too to the Okanagan Sun, who for years have really been a flagship organization in junior football, going back to Barry Ernest, Bob Lindsay, Bob Harrison, guys like that. I mean, this team from day one has really kind of set a standard. It's a hard pace to maintain, but some other clubs manage to do it over almost half a century now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts with the organization as one, and you mentioned a couple of names. Barry Ernest, Bob Harrison. When they started this program, they started it for the players. It wasn't to stroke their egos. It wasn't to build a juggernaut or anything like that. It was, okay, let's give players a place to play football, especially back then, Okanagan players a chance to play football. And, we've been fortunate enough that, those are two names, but I could name 100 people that have been through this board that are passionate. Yourself you were on the board when you were here. And, and that's what makes the difference is we're all in it together to make the best experience for players, to give them the best shot of moving on. Or if they're not of that caliber, because like any professional sport, the bulk of them are not, how do we turn these people into good young men?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think the club has done that really well. And my experience with them, whether broadcasting or on the board and whatnot, everything has always been at a very high level. I always felt like a kind of a mini CFL organization, if you will, just because of that. And it really did. It spoke to, I think, the passion the community has for it. And you can think of there's a few other organizations at the junior level, like the Hilltops, the Rams, before they moved up to university. And you really do see it in a few areas. And I think there's some parallels with the CFL as well, where you see it's got certain markets where, it seems to do so well. The passion and fan base in Saskatchewan. What's going on in Winnipeg now with all the sellouts and whatnot. And I mean, it's kind of been an odd thing about football in this country. It has its pockets where it's incredibly popular. The work always seems to be there's those other places that it's going to be a bit of a struggle. And again, babbling on here a little bit, when I think of some of our trips out to the coast, you go to Richmond and Surrey and places like that, and you see a couple of hundred people there, and you go like, it's such a big market. Where are the fans?
Yeah, well, it comes down to the organization, right? And I wondered how long it would take before you slipped Winnipeg into the conversation.
Did I do that?
Since I didn't happen to play there. But, it's, when people talk to me about the organization, like usually they want to talk about the team and the success on the team, which is fine because that's where the focus should be. But then, someone will come along and say, well, how many people do you have on well, we got 35 board of directors, and most of them are pretty engaged in doing something to support the football team. They're like, what? So when you think of a full community, nobody's getting paid. It's all volunteer. It's all just for the good of the football team. That we have 35 people showing up, putting in the work, giving back to the kids is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to ask kind of big picture here because like Kelowna's growing. Heck, they had to bring in more seats. They could accommodate thousands more fans. Is there almost a sense of like, seeing into the future, seeing how big, football could become, maybe a new stadium's in the work one day, those sentiments?
Yeah, well, we would love that. I mean, every time, we have an event here, especially at the Apple Bowl, it went back to Nitro Circus a number of years ago, and then the CPL game, and they put more and more people in here. I mean, obviously the BC Lions have done a great job in making this a CFL level venue, but it also illustrates to the city what we need, right? What things do have to change, dressing rooms and things like that. So hopefully, we're going to carry that momentum. We would like to see some major upgrades. We would like to, to be able to do some stuff on our own and have them footprint us here at the Apple Bowl, but I mean, the city's been good to us. They're very dynamic. They got a lot of things going on. So to be able to get them to say, okay, here's the direction, that's been the challenge, right? So the minute they do that, we'll take it and run with it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, one more quick question for you. I know this is also from the past, but there was a time where the Okanagan Sun were looking at the possibility of moving up to CIAU football. Is there anything like that on the horizon at all, or is that just something the club's kind of put behind them for now?
For now, we've put it behind us. I mean, we did a lot of work going towards that, and that's, again, where that big board of directors really comes in. We had a core group that were really pushing that. We got to the point where we came up with an MOA, a memorandum of understanding, and then the university shut it, and they were going through changes, and it wasn't their priority, so they shut it down. Would we be open to that conversation? Absolutely, but I think at this point it's got to come from them.
Okay, great stuff. Well, Jay Christensen, really appreciate your time. Go enjoy the game. And as you said, you're not really cheering for anybody, but I know you'll have fun here today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Jay Christensen joining us here. It's the pregame show as we get set for Touchdown Kelowna. The BC Lions and the Edmonton Elks kick off at 4 o'clock, but we've got more, including a conversation with the voice of the BC Lions, Julio Caravata, coming up next. Stay tuned. You're listening to Touchdown Kelowna on AM 1150.
Feeling frustrated with house hunting? Are the options in and around Kelowna not matching your wish list?
Experience the exceptional locations in Vernon and Kelowna. Okanagan Spirits, your local distillery. OkanaganSpirits.com.
At Baptist Housing, home is more than a place. It's a feeling. It's a sense of belonging, comfort, and connection. When you live at Mill Creek Village, Sun Point Village, or Smith Creek Village, you're part of a vibrant community where friendships grow and family visits are always welcome.
That'll be a great
Whether
day
you're
for
hosting
football.
your kids and grandkids in one of their private gathering
I thought
spaces,
last week was
or
ideal.
enjoying a quiet moment
I mean, no,
in your own
the
home.
cloud cover.
You have the
There was a
freedom to
little
choose
bit of a
what feels
sprinkle,
right
though.
for
It wasn't
you.
much, though, was it?
You'll have
No, yeah, nothing that really kind of had an effect on the game.
Join friends and activities.
Yeah, no, this is
For the
perfect.
fans, as long as they got a beer, they're
Safe,
good.
secure, and surrounded by
Half the
people
people,
who
if
truly
not
care.
half, more than half
This
the
is a
people in
place
front of me,
where life
they
feels
can't see
like
the game.
home.
Yeah.
They're just partying, and as soon as they hear something yell, they look up. And yeah, exactly. Just start cheering. They don't know. They don't know what's going on.
40 seconds.
00.
Seconds.
That's 250-215-1500 or visit
Hey,
baptisthosting.org/Kelowna.
In the heart of Kelowna, where every detail matters, Strata Properties face a whirlwind of challenges.
Keep your Strata property running smoothly with the pros at
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
experienced team and low staff turnover. Dwell provides the tools and understanding to help your property operate at its best. Make Dwell your number one choice for Strata management.
Dwell turns Strata chaos into calm.
Get to know the experts at Dwell. Visit dwellproperty.ca/Okanagan.
You're listening to a Touchdown Kelowna special on AM 1150.
It's the Touchdown Kelowna pregame show here on AM 1150. I'm David Hanson, joined by the legendary Grant Scott. Outside the Apple Bowl, Elks taking on BC Lions at 4 o'clock, and we're also joined by Julio Caravata with the BC Lions. How you doing today, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you very, very much for having me.
Well, I mean, it's just been an absolutely gorgeous week for practice, for football.
You can't ask for anything better than this. Like when this whole idea and the concept came up, a lot of us, it's been a long time since I've been up here. I had my first training camp up here in 1991.
Right.
So I was here for a couple of years, and this area doesn't resemble any of that.
You got
and
that
of
right.
course, over that amount of time, you don't expect it, but it really is fantastic to come up here and see all the development and everything that's happened here, and to see what they were to do or what they've done with the Apple Bowl has been spectacular. Everything that they've done has been spot on. I mean, it's just the feel, the fans, all the stuff they have lined up before the game. Now let's just hope for a win and everyone can go home happy.
Yeah, that would be it. I was going to say everything's spot on except, and I said this earlier too, watch your head as you well know. How many times have you banged your head?
Oh, up there. That's right. They got a piece of foam up there in the press box. Yeah, I usually get excited a little bit, so I've got to be really conscious. I don't want to knock myself out.
Yeah, not to be telling too many stories. I go back long enough in this market to pre-foam days.
Ooh. Oh my gosh!
I banged my head on that thing more than once, and
wow. That would hurt.
Almost got fired for it.
Really?
Well, either wake you up.
The curse that came out.
I got you.
Right?
I got you.
Does that wake you up or put you to sleep?
Oh yeah, no. It's, when you bang your head, you get the you just want to punch
it rattles
something.
you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're
sure.
mad.
Anyway, that's not the point of why we're here.
No, for sure. So talk to us about, obviously BC Lions had to give up their home graciously for FIFA, so you had to come on the road. Talk to us about putting this all together.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I talked to a number of the players, and they haven't used that as an excuse, but it's been difficult, right? Because I think, for athletes, doesn't matter what sport you play, they love routine, right? You have your schedule. You like, you're at home, you watch film, you work out. This is the way things go down. And so for the beginning of this year, obviously with the World Cup and them being displaced and having all this stuff go on, it's a challenge, right? Especially early on in the season when you're still coming together as a football team. And there's no question that as nice as this is and as spectacular a job as they've done for the players, it is a break from their routine, right? And given the fact also that they're 0-3, that throws a whole nother element into it. So, covering this team for as long as I have and coming out of training camp, there was, very, very high expectations, as there should be. This is a talented football team. But having said that, now they've got to parlay that onto the field. And there have been a lot of distractions that they've had to deal with. But put that aside, they need to really kind of buckle up and make some things happen on the field.
I'd like to ask you to maybe speak to the quarterback situation. I mean, kind of unique game, and then we have two Canadian quarterbacks, something you can speak to.
Yeah.
What's that like? How hard is it? I mean, it always seems like the league's had a built-in bias against homegrown talent.
It is funny that you bring that up because I have had that conversation with many people. And I said, geez, I wish it would have been like this back in my day when there was an appetite for a Canadian quarterback, because back then, you're right, it was almost a detriment to be a Canadian quarterback. But, Nathan is special. He's, I think he absorbed all that early on stuff because it was such an anomaly that, he was Canadian, and as good as he was, he handled all that pressure very, very well. Bottom line is this, that whether Nathan is Canadian or American or whatever, I mean, he's just a really, really talented young man. And I still think that there's still a lot more there. And that's kind of scary to think. But when he's, I think, finished playing, if he's, knock on wood, is able to stay healthy, he's going to break every record that is in this league. And that's exciting. When, for the Lions and looking ahead to have a franchise quarterback in his prime right now, and he's going to be for the next 10 years, it's going to be an exciting time, because in the Canadian Football League, you need a quarterback. And if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to survive. And so for him, to be here and as exciting as he is and the kind of player he is, he's just only going to bring a lot of joy to football fans in British Columbia and across the league, because he is such a talented young man.
Yeah, you speak to, you mentioned maybe another 10 years. That's something that it seems to be a little bit more, maybe it's newer just because of new training and whatnot, but players' careers seem to be getting extended more.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, it's an excellent point. I mean, and I think as I said earlier, they love routine, and now the athletes are. It's not about after I can remember back in you used to come to training camp and get in shape.
Yeah.
Right. And what you ate, it didn't matter. You could eat whatever you wanted to because you weren't concerned about carbs or proteins or this or that. Now you look at these guys and how they take care of themselves. There's no one that takes any time off anymore. These guys are training all year round. They might take a couple of weeks off after a season, but they're right back into it. They're very serious about their nutrition and about the way they work out, and that leads to more success on the field. And I think too, it's another part of it is they really do throw themselves into the watching film and everything it takes to be a pro, and that's why I think you see the guys their ability to not only to play longer but to be successful at an older age because of that commitment to their profession.
Now, you were speaking before about how pro athletes, they love the routine, and this is obviously a change from the routine. Are you aware of behind the scenes work to try to take care of as much as possible so the football players can just focus on the training of football?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that, and when the coaches, especially Buck Pierce and Ryan Rigmaiden, the general manager, when these kinds of things happen, trust me, those are meetings that are happening. Like they're saying, hey, listen, this is great, but we're limiting the players to this. We don't want them doing more than this. You can have them for an hour after or whatever. You can have a couple of guys here. But as far as the distractions go, we're keeping it at a minimum because they realize that there is a lot that can be asked of them. And you've got to know. And Buck being a former player, I think he really realizes that and takes that into account. The idea that you can't overwhelm the players with too much because they are here, to win and do their job.
And I mean, that's got to be a challenge too, because with Kelowna, we're so excited to have you here. I'm sure everybody's blowing up your email saying come do this, but you got to keep them focused.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You got to keep them. You got to keep them focused, and you have to understand from the football standpoint what the objective is, and that's to win a game, right? And so there's a healthy balance there. There always is. The one thing too about coming up here for the week that you bring all your practice roster players that aren't going to play. And then you got to utilize those guys, right? You can say, hey, listen, we can give you these guys for a camp, or they can go for a signing or doing whatever else that they have to do without really kind of having Nathan Rourke be bothered every single night because Nathan's he's a guy that has a routine and he wants to stick to his routine and he doesn't want to be disturbed outside of that. So you got to know when you can use him and when you can't use him. So it all works. And again, it's the hundreds of hours that go into the prep, seeing this all happen. You think of behind the scenes, not only from the football club, but from the city and all the things that go into it. It's they need to tip their hat and have a nice cold beverage after this one and congratulate themselves because it was a job well done.
Yeah, you talked about the routine and just sort of the disruption, trying to make it not a distraction. I couldn't help but think you start your training camp, you're in Kamloops, you basically have a week, and now it's 2 weeks in Kelowna.
Yeah,
so
it's a different
start.
Yeah, and then you're on the road, right?
Yeah.
You're going on road trips, and you come back, and they had a week one bye, right,
yeah.
which is different. And then you have a couple of games on the road, and then they're coming here, and now all of a sudden they're going to get another break here after this game, and then they're going to go to Edmonton. So, still very early in the season, and I think the league, tried to accommodate them as much as they could. And in fairness too, Omar Doman and the Lions could have taken Easy Street and said, hey, we're going to play 3 games at UBC or at Thunderbird Stadium and put another bleacher there, and they could have stayed in the city and made it work, right? Or they could have done what Toronto did, which was nothing, right? They played three away games and threw away 3 home games. Yeah. So, the league understood what they were doing, and I think with the buys and the breaks have tried to make it as easy on them as possible, but they got to find a way to win a football game, that's for sure.
What do you think the keys are to victory today?
Well, you got to stop Justin Rankin, the Edmonton running back. I mean, he's their leading receiver and leading runner. I mean, you got to stop him. No turnovers. That's always the case. Turnovers are what killed them last week. And then offensively, they got to keep themselves on the field, right? That's one of the things that makes them so good is offensively they can wear you down with the short passing game and Nathan's decision making. That's got to be big as well too. This is an Edmonton team that's got a lot of confidence right now. Defensively, they're playing at a high level. Offensively, they're doing enough. So this is going to be a tough test for them.
All right, I've been asking everybody this, and we only got about 60 seconds,
Sure.
but quickly, your thoughts on the upcoming rule changes. What do you think?
Oh,
I can't do it in a minute, can you?
How quickly can you rant in 60 seconds?
You should have let off with
I
that
know.
one. No, that's okay. The only one I really have an issue with, and from what I understand, it might not still happen is the length of the field.
Good.
Right. Yeah. That apparently with U Sports and changing the field is going to be a big cost.
Yeah.
So they're still deciding on that. The other stuff, I'm going to wait and see. I understand that the game needs to evolve, and they're trying to do things, and I'm waiting to see what the end zones are going to be like and all that kind of stuff. So I just didn't like the idea of changing the field. And when they start to get to the core of what makes us different and unique, that's what I don't like. So, but for the most part, the rules are going to stay the same. And I'm excited to see, the new rule changes and how they affect the game. And at that point, I'll have a better understanding of how I feel about it.
Awesome stuff.
Well,
Really,
thank you.
really appreciate your time
Thank
today.
you, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Have fun. Enjoy it.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, Touchdown Kelowna pregame show. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Kelowna's
Really
morning
appreciate it.
home for news, talk, and
Bowl. I'm Grant Scott.
I'm David Hansen.
And we are here live on location at the Apple Bowl for Touchdown Kelowna.
And I frankly don't think we could have asked for better weather. This is gorgeous.
It's going to be a great day for football, and so often it's the case in the Okanagan when the weather's like this. Blue sky, sunshine, not too hot, and it's going to be another packed house here tonight as well.
Yeah, and it's just an absolute festival environment. We've got the fan march that's coming in, and we're seeing both BC Lions jerseys. We're seeing Edmonton Elks jerseys. There's kids playing football on the grass. It's a party atmosphere.
Well, we thought we'd get to a couple more special guests that we have lined up. These were actually conversations had previously with our very own Stephen Kepler. And first, we'd like to go to a conversation he had earlier in the week with the president of the BC Lions. Here's his conversation with Dwayne Viano.
Somebody make some noise out there,
Obviously, Touchdown Kelowna has captured the hearts and souls of millions around the world. No, Kelowna, it's been great. 9-day festival. We've had Dwayne Vigneault here on the show a lot over the last while, talking about economic impact, talking about all of the events that have been happening throughout the last 6 days here for Touchdown Kelowna. We've got VP of the Lions, Neil McAvoy.
Kicked off with the breakfast with the BC Lions.
Yeah.
And then last night was the the Flip Flop Gala and the festival on the water has been open. So it's been great.
Yeah, and I was chatting with you before the game on Saturday, and you were kind of excited that we get a second crack at this with this weekend against Edmonton. And now there's going to be some improvements done with not just the stadium, but the overall experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done this game a few times now, back in my previous life at the CFL and now with the Lions, and usually set it up. You have the game,
and then you tear it down and go away. Yeah,
and I tell people all the time, it's restaurants open. They have 2 weeks of dry runs before they open. Well, we open and go 20,000 people. It's just incredible. And so now with this opportunity, we are fine-tuning some things. We saw that this area maybe didn't work so great.
Right.
This area didn't work so great, and we're doing that. We want to take an opportunity to take a really good event to take it to a great event on this weekend.
Well, what I've loved about the whole festival is that it's been a festival so far. Mm-hmm. Again, you just mentioned the Flip Flop Gala, which was the wild card part of the festival for me. But then we have Boots on the Beach this Friday, where it's a live concert. That's going to be going on. FIFA's going on as well with the city. You've got Canada Day events going on. This has just been... I was saying this, it's been overwhelming as somebody from Kelowna to see all of this come together.
Absolutely. I saw something on social today. A guy from Toronto that's a very, long time sort of supporter of the CFL said the CFL has cracked the code. They've created a mini Grey Cup in the middle of the season.
That's a great,
because that's how it feels. Like everyone's walking around and just, so it's great. I'm glad it's just we took a situation where FIFA got us to where we needed to figure out where we're playing some home games, and we've created something so special that might live on.
Well, this just popped in my head. Okay, you've got the Banjo Bowl, but now we can actually just put together a little apple and call it the Apple Bowl this weekend.
I love it. You already got the Apple Bowl.
Exactly. But just a big trophy to make this But, a lot of my nephews were shocked to hear that the Grey Cup has actually been making appearances throughout events as well throughout the week. Is it going to be around this coming weekend as well?
No, it's gone now. The Grey Cup came in on last Friday, and it's been everywhere.
Yeah.
There was a golf tournament yesterday, and it was at a hole, and it was at every event. It was at the game last weekend. So no, the Grey Cup is gone. It has left the building. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah. Well, hopefully, we have another successful weekend with Touchdown Kelowna. There's been so many events been going on, and I just want to say on behalf of everyone at GoFM and at Vista, thank you to the Lions. This has been a tremendous event and so good for the city.
Yeah, thank you. And we really feel like welcomed and feel like home here. So it's been great, and we really pride ourselves in being the BC Lions. So this has been tremendous for us, and our fans are loving it.
Yeah. I mean, one more thing before I let you go, Dwayne. I could keep you for an hour, but
let's stay. Let's do it.
The economic impact of this is pretty significant, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll do the report after, but my estimation, it's going to be in that 65 to 70 million range.
That's amazing.
And I will tell you that, it wasn't that long ago, and Grey Cups were doing 70 million. Like this has our team alone has transplanted our entire operation here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That economic piece is just great. All the hotels are sold out, and it's going to be a good one. It's great for the region. It's great for City of Kelowna, and it's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Dwayne Vigneault, BC Lions president. If you want to know about all of the events, if you want to meet some of the players, they're doing autographs throughout the week. Head to bclions.com, and then they're taking on the Elks 4:00 Saturday at the Apple Bowl.
All right, we're back to the Touchdown Kelowna pregame show here at the Apple Bowl. My name is David Hansen.
I'm Grant Scott.
And we're joined by Dan Dirtmag McFarland. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, absolutely fabulous. Could we ask for a better day? No. Could we ask for a better week? No. Bring it on, man. Keep it going.
It's been spectacular. I mean, the city's come alive. The support for football and everything that went on. Kudos to the city and all the volunteers and everyone that put this on. And certainly thanks to the BC Lions as well for what they've done. Because it's been a huge success, as we just heard in that interview. $70 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not want to do this again?
You nailed it by the city, first of all, stepping up, saying, yeah, we're going to accept this challenge. And the BC Lions said, well, we're going to throw it at you, see what you can do. We got our volunteers together. Kevin Parnell did a wonderful job with that. So big time on the volunteers. You know, some of them were holdovers from the Great Memorial Cup we had here, so they came out and gave it an effort. Then they reached out to our Okanagan Sun junior football team, and I tell you, right from the coach granting time off for them to come out and volunteer, to them cooking up burgers, and 70 of the players out today and rolling the big turf around. So it was, you know, so much is on the volunteers, from the people chaperoning the parade today that I just walked up to all the activities in the stadium. It's just it's absolutely been brilliant.
Well, when it comes to volunteering, Dan, I know you're a face that's often seen at these kind of events. What's it been like for you kind of in that role?
Well, you know, it was, as I say, the support of the team and the 200 volunteers that came out, and people have to keep track of that. So they made it very easy for us. They just laid some shifts on us to do some of the setting up of the scrimming, the curtains around the stadium, to putting up the signs, to rolling out things, some heavy lifting from the boys and girls and that. So it's been smooth. Yeah, sure, there's going to be a few little hiccups along the way. But by today, I think they've got it all smooth around. It's just been great. And that's for the event downtown, too. The Touchdown BC, it's fantastic.
Now, I can say that there's been a certain buzz in the air, not just because it's summer in Kelowna, but just, you know, Touchdown Kelowna, the year of sport. Has that been your sense, that there's just been an extra electricity in the air?
Absolutely. When I said the year of sport, and then you take in, so we can thank FIFA, first of all, for the game being up here, as much as we were against the round ball or whatever was going to happen there, and we're all football pigskin fans. That came into the blend, too. Just this morning, there were probably 4,000 people out down at the Waterfront Park as part of Touchdown BC watching Team Canada. And it's been like that all week. So any of the shops and services, certainly in the downtown core and beyond it.
Well, let's hope we get a better result here today than that World Cup game. But
guys, this is the whole underlying thing. As much as they, you know, are the players enjoying themselves and are the coaches and that, you know, they're 0-3. So they've got brave faces. But Grant, you know, being around football for so long, and once you start getting up to, you know, I hate to say it, but 0-4 or 5,
that's
or
not a
even
good
playing
thing.
marginal football, you know, things are at stake.
Yeah, I think the fans will see that tonight or today. Maybe the novelty, if there was one, and maybe that might be a little unfair of me to say that about the players.
No,
but I think
you're
there's
right.
just a bit of a novelty, the whole situation. Now, as you said, they got to be down to business, and they really need to not just get their first win, but give Edmonton their first loss, or they're in trouble.
Yeah, you nailed it there.
Yeah, as much as we're focused on, you know, the party and the festival, like you said, you still got teams that are still very focused on their results today.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, a victory today would be great. We could continue this party for at least one more night.
Sounds good.
Another week even. Well, Dan, Dirt, Mary McFarland, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, what an incredible day it's been. Game, of course, kicking off at 4 o'clock.
Got the pregame show here next.
Yeah, so no, it's been my honor to do this broadcast with you, Grant
Thanks,
Scott.
David. It's been great. I really enjoyed it as well. It's been a lot of fun to get back in and be around some football.
100%. Tune in to AM 1150 for the broadcast for Elks taking on the BC Lions with Touchdown Kelowna at the Apple Bowl.
This has been a Touchdown Kelowna special presentation.
We just